Alright, so the first round of the NFL draft came and went, and it was pretty much a lackluster draft, uneventful. And it's been like this, not to to be honest, for a while. But sometimes it's like I wonder if we sort of reached the peak, like how of anything else, where we hype ourselves up way too much on things. Than when it used to happen in the past, we didn't have all this information like how we do, and everybody's talking about it. Where we're like, oh, that's crazy. But then again, maybe this one was just that predictable. I was like, I mean, we got a real crazy run on offense. I was like, I think only like seven defensive people were like drafted or whatever. I was like, I don't think there was a defensive player until like 15 or something like that, 20 or so. So like, it we sort of all probably figured out it was going to be a real offensive heavy type draft. I'm just surprised that it took so long for that. Just considering some of the teams that was there, whether it's like Oakland or or Atlanta, or let's go ahead and just get to the biggest, I guess, shock of everything. Atlanta taking Michael Penix. Now, it's startling and confusing. Uh, Also exciting, all these things all at once. Just because it's like, okay, they gave Kirk Cousins all this money to be the star quarterback. Then they draft with the eighth pick a quarterback. Not saying that they wouldn't have drafted a quarterback at any point in this draft, but they did it that early when everybody thought like, okay, cool, they're trying to do like a win now thing with a lot of young players, cheap young players around this quarterback. And they're like, yeah, or we can try to do the future thing at the same time. I was like, I guess. Now, granted that that Las Vegas probably would have drafted Penix. That's why Atlanta at least took that pick. But at the same time, we still, I mean, I guess I was like, we don't fully know like why, you know, like the people, they like the camp of Kirk Cousins. Like, we're shocked by this, which I can understand their standpoint. This ain't like when Brandon Weeden was like the core. No, it wasn't Brandon Weeden. It was Mike Glennon was the quarterback of Chicago, and I think they took Trubisky. That's different. You're Mike Glennon. Get out of here. I don't care if you was old. Get out of here. It's different with a Kirk Cousins. I was like, you got a little more name to him. I think it's hilarious just because so now we got two quarterbacks that both have knee issues. They're not, where it's like, hey, if the idea is like, hey, Kirk Cousins is going to be 30, I was like, by the end of the contract, I understand. I guess I will understand it, but by then you might have more time to have quarterback, or you can develop a quarterback in that meantime. So I do get that it is kind of perplexing to do this with the contract that you gave him when it's like, yeah, by the end of it, you probably will take a quarterback by then, or you could take one later on now and build them up or whatever. But also too, it's like we don't. I heard somebody say like we don't. They don't. Maybe they don't know how Kirk Cousins' knee is do. I mean, his Achilles is doing. And I'm like, so then you gonna take the guy that got two knee problems and a couple shoulder problems? It don't seem like that's any helpful either. Even though I know, I know he's healthy now, but I'm just saying, like, now you got like two injured quarterbacks here. But as just an idea, I was like, you get your quarterback that's cheap, even if Kirk Cousins do two. I was like, he feels like this whole 3 year deal. Penix is still got like 2 years left on that deal. You pick up an option or whatever. It's almost. I feel like they're doing like a Jordan Love thing. It's just the fact that they chose him so high. Um, but I was like, but him with the weapons in Atlanta, I think that part makes a lot of sense. Uh, it's just. I don't think they could have traded down because I was like Penix would have been gone. But I guess also like if they did have a quarterback, I feel like everybody would have been more fine with this. But because they do, I don't have a problem with it to be honest. Just because I'm like, okay, cool. like if Kirk doesn't play well or Kirk's not coming from the injury that well or whatever, you got a quarterback there, future guy, whatever. It doesn't bother me that much, to be honest. Everybody's really coming from the point of if you had Penix as like your a second round pick or the sixth quarterback, then yeah, you sort of look like that. But I was like, but for a couple people, like I'm like me, I'm like I don't see. I was like, I get Caleb, I get Jaden, I even get Drake if because young and he got an arm and stuff like that. But I'm not a fan of JJ, so to me he's like the third, fourth quarterback. So to me, it's not a reach as it is for everybody else. Cause they would have chose JJ, everybody been like, oh, okay, all right, maybe it's still weird they got Kirk Cousins, but yeah. So get out of here with your reason, with your reasonings that isn't like a real reason. It's just basically your favoritism on the board. I was like, so I guess notable picks is that the Giants. I was like, because of the way that the board fell, I was like. The Patriots went ahead and went with Drake May, which I don't like the pick. Not Drake May. It's not Drake May. It's the pick of the fact that I'm like, you could have just traded down, and I was like, there's other quarterbacks. Build up your team. I was like, you're sort of. It's like don't get me wrong, Drake made there. I get it a lot more than say they picked JJ, just because he sort of already got the Josh Allen type of mold, type of build, and played in New England. That's a cold town and snow and all the other stuff. You sort of need a strong arm quarterback that that could just rip it through the wind. So I actually understand that quarter like the pick of that quarterback. It just sort of that I'm like, and not surprised that they chose Drake May. It's like you could have got more. I guess it's roundabout. I'm one of those people where I'm like I build a team more so than just get the quarterback and hope for the best. Cause I'm like they still got the same sorry ass roster that they pretty much had with Mac Jones, and I was like I think I like Drake May way more than Mac Jones, but at the same time I'm like there's no talent here to even see what you could do. But whatever. The Giants that had McCarthy fall to him did take him, decided to take a receiver. I like that whole thing a lot. I like that a lot better than they would have been to try to get the quarterback. Uh, I also like the fact that Chicago also just chose a receiver. I mean, if they would have traded down, I would have been fine with that as well too. But I mean, of course, I've been fine with any of these. I'm not making any actual picks, but them going ahead and getting the weapon, I'm like, cool. Go ahead and give Caleb Williams all the weapons. I was like, we don't know how long Keenan Allen going to be there, but him and DJ Moore, they're both young, and you can give. And I was like, by the time DJ Moore needs another contract, it won't matter. And I was like, I was like, they got enough picks to do other stuff in the draft as well too. I was like, the Jets, while they traded down, get more picks, good. Did take a tackle, so I was like, okay, cool. I was like, they're going for a good. They're trying to hit these at the same time, and I was like, okay, cool. They're not totally, that was all smoke screens, and they're taking a receiver. Uh, yeah, no. Then after that, I was like the Raiders chose Bowers. Uh, Interesting pick because I know they already got a couple tight ends already there, but at the same time, I was like, I guess you can't go wrong with weapons. You can't go wrong with several tight ends. Uh, it helps out running. It helps matchups because it's like those, I was like, how tight ends play now, you can't really, you got to figure out how to also match up against them. And they still got Devontae Adams. And if you're not going to have a quarterback, you might as well load up on the weapons you can. I'm just surprised they didn't go defense because to me, I was like, they sort of need, I could see them, they would have taken a corner. I could have seen them taken another edge rusher, so I could have seen them go with defense quite a lot. I was like, you just brought over Christian Wilkins and you got with Crosby. I was like, go ahead and max out with the front line where it's like those two are going to get teamed up. You got anyway, but it's still fine. Denver that went ahead and just decided to take Bo Nix, which it sounded like I guess that they were going to do that probably regardless of no matter how the board fell at all. Uh, hey, I was like, hey, they come in with the quarterback. He's going to have to start day one. I was like, I know they just traded for Zach Wilson, and I thought they were going to try to roll with that. To be honest, cause Sean Payton seems like the guy that does reclamation projects. Jason Williams, Jason, I was like Taysom Hill, But to me, I was like, I don't think there's any way about it. You're going to have to try to. I like Bo Nixon to me is going to play. He's older, so like you don't have to. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he'd be a rookie, but you don't have the whole young thing in the same way. And also, too, his competition is Zach Wilson and Center. The crowd's not going to go for that. You're going to play Bo Nix. Yeah, no, and then I was like, then we started getting some defensive players going through, a couple corners and a couple edge rushers, only like one defensive tackle, which I was like, this draft was pretty much quarterbacks, receivers, offensive linemen, a hell of a lot of offensive linemen. That's like the most I've seen in like years, you know. And basically the people that go after the quarterback and the people that go at those top receivers. Like that's where you see a lot of stuff. Like this one was like if you was a safety linebacker, and I was like hell anybody on the inside. I was like granted with the defensive tackle spots, I was like to me maybe there wasn't just anyone that many there. Cause I was like if you get pressure up the middle, you seem like you would take it. But yeah, and then basically to end pretty much the whole thing was basically going back to receivers. The Buffalo Bills kept trading down several times. I was like, so did the Cowboys, but they ended up taking a lineman, offensive lineman. Uh, but yeah, no, which I thought was crazy. That I was like, so Jacksonville they went ahead and snagged the receiver. The Panthers snagged the receiver, and like we all thought, the Kansas City Chiefs snagged the receiver, and they moved up to do so with the Bills. Funny enough, which I guess I was wondering like who are they trying to get in front of because they were pretty much like around each other during that time, and they basically just took the dude from Texas that ran that forward. I think 4.26. And I'm not gonna lie, if he would have went somewhere else, I'd have been like, we'll see how this transition. He goes to the Chiefs. I'm like, they'll figure out how. If he would have went to the Chiefs or the Steelers, uh, I'm trying to think. I was like, there's a couple other teams. I was like, where I'd be like, oh, he might be a problem. And he did. I was like, cause the Steelers do a really good job with wide receivers. So do the Chiefs. And the Bills came away with nothing but more draft capital, which I was like, they gotta fill up a lot of their team with young spots. So I get it. To be honest, like I know it'd be disappointing if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, but I get it where it's just like, like you need a corner, you need a safety, you need another linebacker, you need another edge rusher. I was like, you need a wide receiver, you need a lot of stuff, and so you gotta accumulate the picks. Because to be honest, the second round looks like it's going to be the opposite of the first, where it just looked like it's going to be heavy defensive side of thing. Cause I'm like, there's like a couple people that I was like, I thought was gonna go the first round that did just because people are here reaching for quarterbacks and receivers the whole time. But nothing really enough for this first round. I was like, cause to be honest, after Penix was drafted by Atlanta, everything else was just gonna just fall for the wayside. Not just because that was like the big shock that everybody was waiting for the draft, but after that, like it just came like methodical because people were just drafting for needs and like something crazy. Because I was like, there wasn't really this also is not one of the drafts where it's like crazy like people specimen freaks of nature. Like to me, there wasn't really that. But also, people don't get hyped over offensive line play in the same way. Uh, so I think the second and third round is going to be crazy just because we're still going to get receivers, but that's where I think we're going to get a lot of like defensive players just coming off the board like boom, 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 and I think we're going to get more trades. Not talking about like up and down like that type of trade, but I think like trading up players just a bit. I was like, I don't know, maybe that's my prediction. But anyway, that will happen in the draft. Not too much, but hey, I was like, for the most part, everybody's sort of like if you want to get to the nitty gritty about the prospects, that's for you to do. But I was like, a lot of teams filled out these and got what they wanted in a way that I was like, this is one of those drafts that I'm like, I don't really. I was like, this is a nitpick more than a critique, except for like Penix, I guess, depending on who you are. But anyway, that's the draft. See y'all for the next couple rounds.